So at about 2 years old, or really when they start learning some language, children move from the sensory motor stage into the pre-operational stage. Pre-operational. And the pre is before, operational is the stage after this, so it's kind of doesn't have a lot of meaning all on its own, this word, but it means that you're not quite into the part where you can think about abstract things in your head. In pre-operational, you still realize that things exist when they're not in your view, but it's still hard for these kids to think about high-level things. They're kind of stuck with uh, images and objects, and it's hard for them to think about abstract things like love, for example. They can say "I love you," but they might not quite understand what it means. They use symbols, you could say. They they can move objects around with their hands now. They have the motor stuff down pat, and they're able to play with blocks and play with each other and all that stuff. But they are what is called egocentric. This is a key term. Egocentric, which means that they are centered on themselves. Not that they're all selfish. They might be very nice and polite and everything else, but they have trouble seeing things from another person's point of view. If you show them, let's see, I'll draw it out. If this is the kid, and you show them a picture of a turtle, and try to draw a turtle. There's his legs and his head coming out here. And if the other person, if the experimenter's on this side of the table, and they ask the kid, is the turtle right side up or upside down? The kid will say right side up because its feet are on the ground. And if they say, what does the turtle look like to me? Is the turtle right side up or upside down when I look at it? Then the kid will still say, oh yeah, you'll see it right side up. Maybe I shouldn't have drawn that ground there. That might give a little bit of ambiguity or disambiguity. But they don't have the ability to see that the experimenter would see things in a different way. They can't. I don't think they would have the ability to understand a story because they have different characters seeing different things. That's why we have really simple stories with one character, like the hungry caterpillar is, he doesn't have a very complicated motive there. He's just trying to eat everything, as an example. And there's another interesting experiment that Piaget himself came up with, is that if you have two containers, one of which is very fat and not very tall, and another one which is very tall and not very fat, then you can show a kid, you can say, alright, it's this full of water, and you can see how much water is in there. There's no trickery here yet. And then you, with them watching, you don't hide it, you don't do anything tricky, you pour this into this bucket or into this cup, and then it gets mostly full. And then you ask the kid, is there more water or is there less water? And they saw it happen. They saw that you didn't spill any. They saw that you didn't add any. But yet they'll say, oh, there's more water because this is more full. It has more height, is what they're really trying to say. It's higher up, so therefore it's more full, so therefore there's more water. And you're sitting there thinking, how do you not get this? That we didn't add any more water. There's nothing there that there wasn't before. But they see height as the same thing as volume, as amount in this case. They're not able to see the different things. If I say height, H, that's a very creative H, height versus volume, they can't say, alright, the height changed but the volume stayed the same. They don't have this distinction. They just see that the height changed, and so they say there's more of it. And even though they saw it happen, even if you measure it out and use the exact milliliters or whatever, they don't have this conservation thing. I should at least write the key word that I'm trying to say. Conservation. Conservation. And what that refers to is that we're conserving volume while the height changes. It's the conservation of the amount of water while the height is changing. And then once they get out of this pre-operational stage, once they have some sort of epiphany and realize that, oh, height isn't necessarily the same thing as how much water there is. The tallness of the glass isn't directly tied to how much water there is. I can see now. I understand that the amount of water didn't change. It's the same group of water that just moved from one place to the other. That's when they move out of this pre-operational stage.